Let's go.
This is turning into one of the weirdest shows I've ever done. It really is.
Catch me if you can, goddammit. Catch me if you can. You hear me?
Will Noonan's so funny and I'm after him, so I guess I'm after Noonan.
You're listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan. That's me coming at you right now from my apartamento. Just doing the old podcast, trying to get one out. You guys, I missed a week, I know. I just said last episode I would keep up with it. But you gotta give me a break. I did like 6 hours of radio last week. I did a lot of broadcasting. I did a ton of shows. This whole podcast, I'm just going to talk about how crazy last week was and how busy I was. So you got to give me a break. Okay, just give me a fucking break. I'm a busy guy. I'm sorry. Can't put out a podcast all the time. Was I in the car for like 10 hours? Yes. But I didn't want to do a podcast. I'm sorry. I don't have my good windscreen. You know, I'm using a sock right now. It doesn't feel great. Okay? So yeah. I said, I made a promise, and I broke it. So, I'm sorry we're fighting. I don't like it when we fight, guys. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. And, sorry it took a week. But, you know what? I'm back. It's Monday. It's only a whole week. That's it. So, we're going to get right down to it. What did I do last week? So much fucking shit happened to me last week. And maybe, just maybe, at the end of this podcast, you'll give me a break for being so fucking shitty about putting this thing out every week, but I'm working on it, and I think this is a serious step in the right direction, doing it right now. So let's get down to biznatch. Last Monday, a week ago today, I did Capo in Southie, as I do every Monday, and it was a fantastic, good old time, and that was a nice way to start the week. Just walk down there, see my buddies Ryan and James Patterson and Alana and Dan Crone and Kelly McFarland. And now comics come out there and hang out all the time. So it was just a really good night out doing comedy and a good night out in Boston. So I had a blast doing that. But I was kind of nervous that night because I knew I had a big day the next day. I knew I was getting up and driving down to New York City and doing the Artie and Anthony Show on Tuesday. So as much fun as I had at Capo on Monday, my mind was elsewhere. I was thinking about other things, like Artie Lange and what it was going to be like to meet him. And to be fair, I've been pretty busy getting back into the swing of things. It's fall. Business is getting back to normal and stuff like that. So I knew, you know, I was looking forward to this Artie and Anthony Show appearance more than I was nervous about it. I was like, man, you know, I've been on Kumia's show like 4 or 5 times now. I know everyone there. I know the lay of the land. So I'm excited to just go do this new show. I wasn't really nervous about anything to do with that. I was just like, what's it going to be like to meet Artie Lange? I was more excited than nervous, I guess, because Artie, you know, I've been a big fan of him. God, for I don't know how long. Anthony as well, of course, but Artie even more so in some ways because he's a comic, so I've watched his comedy, I've read his books, I listened to him on the Stern Show, and continue to listen to those old clips all the time because they're so funny. But, you know, Artie Lange, he's just one of the best. I've been a fan of his forever. He's like one of the oldest follows I got on Twitter. As soon as Twitter came out, wanted to follow Artie Lange, man. So I was excited, and that night before the show, I could tell because I had a hard time falling asleep. Like I could sleep, I wasn't freaking out, but I was like, man, I can feel myself tossing and turning a little bit. Something inside me is excited about meeting Artie tomorrow, and that's kind of like you know, a little sign your body shows you that's like, this matters to you, this shit matters to you. And also, I got this big calendar here now, and all week I could kind of see, all month really, I could kind of see what I was up against. I was like, man, that third week in fucking September is a doozy of a week. And it lived up to it. So I fucking go to sleep. I don't get a super awesome night's sleep. I wanted to go to bed a little early. It didn't work out. Stayed up until 3:30, 4 in the morning, watching shit on YouTube and Netflix, just trying to fall asleep. And finally fall asleep, get like 6 hours, wake up, shower, get in my car, and start driving to New York. In about, I don't even know how far into the trip, almost all the way there, I start to hear my brakes in my car making a weird fucking sound, a grinding sound. Not good, not what you ever want with brakes. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? But at this point in time, I'm just focused on getting to the show on time and doing what my job is that day, which is doing the Artie and Anthony Show. So that's all I'm concerned about at that moment. But I'll fucking tell you, planted some fucking bad seeds in my brain, because I'm thinking, I've had this problem before with the car on the front, and it was a shitload of money because I waited too long to get it fixed. And I'm thinking, is this at that point, or can I make it back to Boston? What's the drive home going to be like? And when I go to New York City, I got to park my car in a fucking garage, and some dude parks it and puts it on like a lift, or God knows where it goes, right? So it's like, is he going to break the car? Is the car going to break? And they don't have my phone number. What the fuck is going to happen? So that's all the shit I had going on in my brain as I'm like 2/3 of the way to New York. I was having a nice little drive. I gave myself plenty of time, stopping and taking pisses, not drinking too much coffee. Everything's good. And then I'm like literally fucking 10 miles outside Manhattan. I brake a little bit, and I hear like from the back brakes, and I'm like, fuck. This is terrible. This is bad fucking news. So, what can I do, though? I got an appearance to make, so I take the car to the garage, cross my fingers, hope for the best, and I start walking towards the Anthony Cumia and Artie show. And I was wondering, how are things going to be different? How would things have changed? You know, it was just the Anthony Cumia show for many years. A couple years. And then, Artie is... now his co-host, and it's a new show, starting over with numbers, and it's a totally new show. And I was like, I also kind of lost track of how many episodes there had been, because it was coming out for such a long time, and there was so much I was reading so much about it that week, but I didn't even realize it was only week 2. I was on episode 9 of the Artie and Anthony show, which is fucking A. I didn't even realize that until after, thankfully, because it's like a huge honor, I feel like. And I was so happy to be on that early in their new run. It makes me feel like they like me down there, and I like them a lot. So that was like really cool. I didn't realize that until after, but because we were talking about like how critical some people are being of the new show. And I was like, didn't it just start? And they were like, yeah, this is only episode 9. And I was like, holy shit. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I walk up there. I get to the building, I see Allie, the talent booker, outside with Aaron Berg and Gino Bisconte, who also have shows on the Cumia Network, and they're all smoking butts, and I'm like, hey, what's up? So I start talking to them, and then we go upstairs, and there's like a lot more activity in the studio. That's one thing I noticed immediately. A lot of people there. There's always like the 3 or 4 person crew, and then maybe 2 or 3 people in the audience. But this time there was like a lot more people just working there. There were a couple more producers bopping around, and an advertising guy. But I do think a lot of those people were just hanging out from another show. But to me, as someone who just goes there once in a while, I was like, oh shit, new life in this place. Kind of felt like a magazine office or something, with all the people bip bop booping around. So I just had to check my phone for a second, because I'm expecting a weed delivery at some point while I record this. I don't have any time, guys. Do you understand this? But Artie's not there. Anthony Cumia is in the studio getting himself ready before the show, and so I go say what's up to the producers and Keith and stuff, and then I go into the studio, Brian and Garrett and Keith, and then I go into the studio. I say Brian, I mean John. Then I go into the studio and hang out with Kumia for a second. And we're just shooting the breeze, and I'm talking about old episodes, like the day before that I had watched. I thought was funny. We were talking about like shooting the shit and stuff, and I'm sort of calmed down now because I'm like, all right, I can't have anything to do with my car for the next hour or so, or 2 hours. Can't do it. Can't think about it. Can't make any changes. So just let it go. And now I'm in the seat, and I'm thinking. I'm feeling myself, feeling my on-stage presence, feeling the... What if you guys could hear that? There's a cruise ship leaving nearby. I started to feel feel myself a little bit. I'm like, here we go, showtime. And then a couple minutes later, Artie Lange walks in. And he's, I don't know how to explain it. When you meet someone you've watched on TV a zillion times, it's a very weird experience, but it only lasts for like... the blink of an eye, really. It's like when you get like someone shines a bright light in your eyes and you see like an orange dot, and like each time you blink your eyes real tight, it kind of fades a little bit until like 5 seconds later it's totally gone. That's kind of what the weirdness of meeting a famous person is, especially if you're working together in some way or doing something. It's like oh shit, oh my god, it's the guy, I've seen him a million times, and then like within 10-15 seconds you're like, okay, he's just a person, I'm just a person, and then you get down to business. So the first thing he said, he was like, holy shit, don't let Will sit in my seat. The crowd will think I just got AIDS or something. I'm so skinny. And I was like, I got AIDS from shaking your hand. And he was like, how would that happen? I've only been with prostitutes and done heroin. And we're right off. This was before the show even started. We're joking around. And then Paul Mercurio came in, who I also love and know from all the old Opie and Anthony shows. Sex for Sam and all that, and I was like, holy shit, Artie Lange, Anthony Cumia, Paul Mercurio, I feel like this is crazy that this is my life, because this is exactly the type of shit I want to be doing, just joking around, laughing, having fun with these guys, some of the funniest guys out there, my kind of fucking dudes, man. So, I don't usually like listen to myself after when I go on Cumia. First time I did listen to like maybe 3 or 4 minutes just so I could hear myself and Cumia talking, which was cool. Then I get embarrassed of my own stupid shit and I turn it off. But this time I made it like an hour in listening back to it. I might still even listen to a little bit more because I was like, it was just cool listening. First of all, it was super funny. Anthony and Artie. I've never worked with Artie before, but I feel like Anthony's on like a whole nother... He was already so fucking funny and just so quick and so smart and like just good at this fucking joking around thing we all do. And then you add Artie Lange as his co-host, and now I feel like he's got a new spring in his step or a new life breathed into what was already there, and he's just an even more increased version of what he was before, which was already pretty fucking good, brilliant. Artie gets a lot of the brilliance and genius comments because of Stern, but they're both fucking. I think it's gonna be a really good show. They complement each other fucking well. Some people disagree, I think, because the show's like still figuring itself out, and they're like, when is it time for each guy to talk? Because they are both radio alphas. They're both like radio leaders. So it's like, how are they gonna share a show? But I think they're already finding a really good give and take, and sitting there, I could feel myself like I could hear myself listening back to it. Like at the beginning, I'm a little more like tentative about joining the show or hopping in the conversation. I'm like throwing in little things here and there, and then I get a little more comfortable. I get a couple laughs out of Artie, start to feel a little more comfortable, and then Mercurio had to go fucking warm up the crowd for the Daily Show, so it was just the three of us, and then I felt much more comfortable kind of getting some in, and as the show goes on, I get more and more talkative, and me and Artie got along really well, and Anthony and me already get along really well, and there were a couple moments in the 2 hours where I just had to be like, holy shit, this is fucking surreal and cool and awesome, and I can't believe this is my life. Bobo and Big A were there, and it was just it's cool, man. That's really cool. I know I'm not like a kid anymore, so this is the kind of shit I should be doing, but it still feels, sometimes I still feel like a Make-A-Wish kid or something, and they're just like, hey, fucking go hang out with your heroes for a day if you want, and joke around and laugh. Like, I was laughing so hard, my face hurt. I spit in my own eye. I was laughing so hard. That's how hard I was laughing. So, I mean, what more can you say than that? That's a good day when you can laugh that hard. Two of the funniest guys in the world. So, it was awesome. So then the show ends, and I'm taking a picture. Allie is the best. She knows I like would want to get a picture with Artie. So before he leaves, she's like, "Hey, can you take a picture with Will?" Like, she asked for me, so I don't have to ask. And then we take a photo, and then afterwards, Artie's like, "Hey, man, take my phone number. You're a funny guy. Maybe we'll do some gigs together or something." And I was like, "Oh yeah, playing it cool." I'm like, "Yeah, man, that'd be awesome." Gives me his phone number, and I'll fast forward to the next day when I had the balls to text him. I texted him next day, "Hey, it was good to see ya." I sent him the picture of us together because I look so fucking weird in the photo. I look like skinnier than I even really am because of the weird angle I'm at, and I'm making a weird face. I felt like I looked at kind of like Tig Notaro, and I know he likes to make fun of Tig Notaro a lot, so I was like, he'll probably like this joke. And it's like, it was like texting a hot chick. When someone like you, that famous or cool that you admire, gives you like their personal info, like their phone number or email or something, it becomes like a hot chick. You're like, should I send something like immediately, or is that too much? Does that make me look weird? I'll wait a day. You know what? I'll do it tomorrow afternoon. I'll do it an hour before. I know when he goes on the air. Okay, I can squeeze this in. And you start overthinking everything. And that's exactly what I did. So, but I did text him next day, and I just said, like, "Hey, it was great to meet you and hang with you. It was a really good time." And he texted me back, like, literally 30 seconds later, right away, and said some real nice stuff. I won't share what he said. I'm gonna save that for my private memory files. Also, don't want to put the dude on blast, but he said some real nice shit, and it meant a lot to me coming from a guy like Artie Lange. And maybe, hopefully, one day we will do some shows together. But even if not, just going back on that show again will be really fun. And yeah, man, it was cool. Like Anthony Cumia and Artie Lange together. What could be better? What could be better than that? So let's get back to what's going on with my fucking life, though, in my car when I leave that show. So I get outside, shoot the shit, Garrett, Johnny Boy, fucking Allie, fucking Paul Mercurio were out there shooting the breeze, smoking butts, and I'm having a good time, but I am in the back of my mind thinking, what's my car gonna be like on that drive home? What if I break down in the middle of Connecticut, far away from fucking everything? What if I fucking do this? What if I fucking do that? But I'm like, can't really worry about that. Just gotta do what I'm gonna do. And hold on a second. My weed delivery guy is gonna be running late. Might not make it during this podcast. Hold on a sec. Got a reply? No worries, brother. That's how you reply to weed people. No worries. Okay. So, I bid adieu to those great people at the Artie and Anthony Show, and I walk through New York City to my car, fucking many blocks away. New York is good, and it's a good time, but going through Midtown Manhattan during the time of the Cumia Show recording, which is like rush hour 4 to 6, you're in there at 4, you're out of there at 6. So it's not so bad on the way out, but on the way in, you're just like, you basically go into the festering belly of New York City, and it's full of worms, and you just crawl through all the worms and get to where you're trying to go. It's kind of what it's like. It's really intense. It's like an immediate, like, boom, New York City, you're in it. Which is fine, but I'd rather, I wish there was just places to fucking park in New York like Boston. That's what's so nice about Boston. Like, There's just places to park. If you need, you don't always need to put your car in a garage. Yeah, some areas it's just easier to put your car in a garage. In some areas, at certain times, you'll never find a fucking spot. But if you wanted to go to one of those areas, you could go to another area and park your car and walk to that area. But in New York City, there's just no place to fucking park. It's so hard to just fucking find a parking spot. I know there's places in the Upper West, Upper East, and all that shit where you can find spots, but where Kumia is no hope. And I see cars that are parked, and I'm like, what time? How long have you been here? What time did you get here? Who just parks? It's impossible. I'm sure a million New York listeners are listening right now, and they know all the spots, and they're like, you just don't know, kid. You just don't know. And that's true. Maybe I could park. Like, I know there's a couple spots up on 125. There's a couple bridges and shit you can park on after a certain time of night. But I'm talking just easy breezy. Cruise around till you see an open spot and take it. And then get on with your day type living. Just don't exist down there, kid. Just don't exist, guy. So, anywho, get to the fucking garage. And I'm expecting some bad news, but no one says anything. They give me my car back. Get in the car. Drive. Get in it and start driving. Now, here's where things got a little bit bad for me. Not real. Yeah, don't ruin the story, Will. Here's where things get a little bit hairy, okay? So while I was on the Kumia show, I drank a medium iced coffee. Pretty big one. The whole time. So over the course of 2 hours, I drank an iced coffee, which should not have, made me super awake or too awake or some kind of fucking overly caffeinated. But because of my nerves that I had going into that, I really hadn't eaten much before doing the show or the night before. I was pretty much on bananas and, spoonfuls of peanut butter and cigarettes, and who knows, little things here and there. But I wasn't eating right for about 2 days. I was eating pretty light. Because when I get kind of anxious, or not even anxious, but just excited for something or focused, sometimes I forget to eat 3 meals a day. And it's a problem. So this is one of those days because I was kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I just had an empty stomach. I wasn't totally empty, but I guess it got away from me. I didn't feel like I needed to eat. I wasn't feeling hungry, but I wasn't feeling sick. I was feeling fine. But I noticed after the show, I'm sitting in traffic, bumper to bumper traffic, and I started to really feel the coffee. Like I am amped. Like it's funny. I was feeling after doing the Artie and Anthony show, like I was afraid I would feel on the show. Like all of a sudden I feel like I'm almost panicking. I'm so awake. Luckily, because of the good work I've done through meditation and all that shit, I wasn't mentally panicking, but my body, I felt like my heart was pounding, my palms were sweaty. I was starting to freak out a little bit. And in retrospect, I can tell you exactly why. Because I was sitting in traffic, and every time, it's stop and go, it's gas brake, gas brake. Every time I hit the brake, I'm listening to my car go a little bit. It's not so bad, but it's it's just getting worse and worse. And basically, I'm 4 hours from my apartment, and I'm thinking, is this thing going to make it? What kind of day am I looking at here? If this thing blows out on the side of the road, that's really bad. I'm like, what should I even do? I don't even know what the fucking right move here is. But I'm just like, fuck it. I'm going to keep driving. And when I see a rest stop, I'll stop. And I'll spray some fucking WD-40 on my brakes. And hopefully that'll stop some of the grinding. A little bit. And also, I'm not even that sure about that because I'm like, WD-40's flammable. Maybe you shouldn't put it on high friction metals, but I don't see any other options, so fuck it, right? So I get in my I'm in my car, I fucking pull into, when you're on the highway, I don't know, for some reason it doesn't really sound that bad because you're not really coming to a complete stop. You're just kind of tapping the brakes a little bit from time to time. So when you're cruising on the highway, you can hear the problem that much. But when I pulled into the rest stop to get gas, oh my God, it was so bad. Like, it was like, and then like as I took my foot off the brake, you'd still hear like ding 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 ding, like it's stuck. And I'm like, this is fucking bad. I'm not even halfway home yet. So I go in, I fucking buy this WD-40, and I bought a sandwich from Dunkin' Donuts because I was like, I'm starving. And I should eat something, and that's why I feel so awake from all this coffee that I drank, because I have nothing in my stomach. So, but I'm like physically so tense at this moment because I cannot relax about the car. I'm just filled with like bad thoughts about what could happen or what this car holds for my future. So I get out into the parking lot, I spray the wheel with WD-40, and I'm like, hope this holds. And then I drive the like rest of the way home, which is probably like 2.5 hours. Almost that whole way, I listened to no music or no podcast or anything. I just drove in silence in case I heard something with the car. And I kept checking my side view mirror like every fucking minute and 30 seconds to make sure there were no flames coming out of the back of my car. And just trying to drive home, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know how fucking like bad that is for like a human body? I was actually 2 days after this, just to fast forward a little bit, I was actually physically sore from holding that level of tension for like a full drive like that. I also ran 4 miles on Monday and then drove 8 hours on Tuesday, which is also not smart as far as like your fucking body feeling sore. But wasn't thinking, you'll find a theme on this podcast. Not a lot of thinking. I think after the fact. I really like to overanalyze the past. The future, I just kind of let figure itself out. But anyway, I'm fucking was so tense and so nervous, and I'm like feather touching the brake and trying to touch the brake ever so correctly, that 2 days after this whole thing, I was like sore as fuck, especially on the right side of my body where the gas pedal was. Terrible. So, so I make it back to Boston around midnight or 11:30. It was a long drive back. It was like longer than normal because there was construction, and also because I wasn't driving too fast because I didn't want to fucking heat up the brakes or whatever too much. So I'm cruising. I get back to Southie. I know there's not going to be any fucking parking near my place at that time of night, so I park like a fucking half mile away from my place and pull that car in there, and it's making terrible sounds. And once I was back in Southie, I just put down all the windows, and I was like, all right, I just want to hear what my car sounds like driving down the road. And it was bad. It was like, it was just making all kinds of noise. And I'm like, shit. But in a small way, part of me had that like, yeah, man, I made it. I'm fucking back. I'm fucking, I don't know what the word is. I'm home, I made it back at least. I felt like a fucking Civil War soldier in Cold Mountain, like covered in fucking blood and dirt, just stumbling back into town. My horse almost died, but it made it. So I come home and, I'm all excited, of course, about whenever I do the Kumia show or now the Artie and Anthony show, there's tons of awesome like stuff on Twitter from people and Facebook and all that stuff. So I came home, I read all that, felt really good after the tense drive. But I was worried about the car because I knew I wasn't going to be able to take it in until Thursday because I had shit to do Wednesday. This is only Tuesday. I'm telling you why I had a tough week. I'm telling you it was busy. You can probably hear I'm getting a cold. Shit's not going good. Okay? I broke a mirror. Motherfucker. a week ago. And I think I've gotten some bad luck. So Wednesday, I could only relax about the Kumia thing and have a good time and enjoy that for a few moments, because Wednesday I had a big gig, high paying, good money gig, hosting a corporate award show for tech companies here in Boston. Normally I wouldn't stress something like that at all, but I had to write a bunch of jokes for this, specifically catered to them and like the tech business. And I don't know, that's like a tall order, and it can be a little stressful, and also you just never know how these things are going to go. So I was just kind of, it was like 3 or 4 weeks of phone calls and meetings and sort of running stuff back and forth between people to get ready for this thing. And I was just kind of like, from every aspect, I was just like, how's this going to go? What's the crowd going to be like? What should I wear? Are these jokes going to be funny? Are they going to be mad at me? And, you know, when you deal with, like, business people, everything's, like, very vague and kind of like, that's cool, no worries, whatever, like, but don't fuck up or else it'll be bad. So we do that. Wait, I'm fucking all over the place. So I'm like, I'm going to leave my car in that spot until Thursday. I'll walk to LAUGHABLE Boston, where the award show is, in my nice dress shoes, host the show, and go, you know, and you just walk home and then take my car in Thursday to see what's wrong with it. That's my plan. So I take the nice walk down to LAUGHABLE Boston. It's a great walk. It only takes like 20 minutes. Smoking butts the whole way, thinking about my car, thinking about Anthony and Artie, thinking about this award show I got coming up, thinking about other things I got coming up in the week, and having a good time, but kind of like, wow, right? So get up there. They wanted me there an hour early, which really turned out to be like 2 hours early, because there was an hour of cocktails. But I go there. It was good that I went, because I did need a little rehearsal on how to like give out an award, because I filled in for somebody who was pregnant, couldn't make it. So I gave out the first award. Got to open the envelope and all that. It was pretty fun. But it took a little bit. It only took 10 minutes of quote rehearsal, and then I was just sitting on my ass for 2 hours looking at the phone. But like I said, corporate stuff pays well, so you just take it. And also, I'm always happy now to be working in Boston again. I like working in the city a lot, I've realized, as much as possible. So I was enjoying that, and I was having a good time. And then the show itself started, and it was, like, super fun. I definitely took a different angle. I feel like hosting, I did a little bit of, like, a Norm Macdonald type thing, I think, where I sort of ripped off his style a little bit of sort of, like, purposefully being bad for a little while. I did like this bit. I didn't really believe in the jokes that I had written for it that much. I didn't think they were that funny. Normally when someone's doing an award show, they have a team of writers and they're being paid a lot more, and it's a much bigger deal, and it goes down forever or something, you know, they did. But I was like, I'm just doing this you know, right now to what's the word I'm looking for? Make money and make these people happy. But it's not going to be like, you know, seen by thousands, and it's not like a big deal if I like, you know, I had other things going on. Couldn't focus all my attention on this. But I did write like 10 minutes, but I was just not that confident in it, to be completely honest. And that's probably why I was a little nervous to do it. But I came up with a good plan, which was that I did like kind of the serious little award show stuff at the beginning, like, well, we're here for this and this and this. And then I did my bad jokes, but I kind of undersold them. And then I closed with my own stand-up, which I know is good and I do all the time. And everything was good. Man, I actually think, I'm not bullshitting, I think I'm getting like something in my nose from this sock that I have. It's a clean sock. I can smell the detergent, but it's like making my mouth itchy talking into it for all this time. I wonder if I'm inhaling like little pieces of sock, or if the detergent is like irritating me or something, but my mouth is getting itchy. And I have a show later. But it was a good time. And the two chicks who hired me for that thing were pretty cool. They did a good job with it, and it was a good time. But it was over really quick once we actually did the show. It was only 4 awards to give away, and it was a lot of fun. And they were happy, and I was happy. And like I said, like I kind of did like the purposefully shitty comedy thing, but it ended up getting a lot of laughs, so it didn't end up being that shitty. And then I did my own stand-up, which luckily I have some jokes about apps and like stuff like that. And it did really well. And I did my girl reading out loud joke, which always does well, and it did well there. So I was, hey, happy days, happy times. So that was Wednesday. Go home from that feeling real good, because then all I had to do after that, the Kumia show and that were like the two big things I was worrying about. Those were the two big worries in my brain. I was like, how the fuck are these things gonna go? And then once I had those two done, I was like, okay, nothing to worry about from here. It's gonna be fun. I got shows and stuff, but it's all stand-up comedy. It's all shit I love to do and do all the time. Places I've been before. It's gonna be easy breezy, Japanesey. But that's what I thought. So I take my car in the next morning. Get up early. I just want to get it done. Drive to the place I go to is in Braintree. That's the place I've been going to get work done on the car for like years. So I just keep going there. They seem pretty good. I go there, and I'm expecting to get hit for like $200 or $300 because the last time I had a problem with one of my brakes, that's how much it costs, and it was just like, you know, something. But it was even worse because I just ignored the brakes for like literally weeks. I was like, oh, it's just dirty or it's just getting old, but it's not there yet. Because I'd had cars with squeaky brakes before. So I just ignored it for like a super long time, which was idiotic and not recommended because it ended up just breaking and spraying brake fluid all over my car, which is like a fucking... Brake fluid is like acid. It just kills everything. I had to get new tires and everything. So don't do that. It was stupid. But this time I was like, I'm taking it in the day after, essentially. Really 2 days, but I didn't drive it for one of those days. But I'm like, it's the day after. Yeah, of course I was 4 hours away when it started to happen, but I'm taking it in immediately. So I'm thinking I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be okay. It might cost a couple $100, $300, but I'm not going to get butt fucked money-wise here. And boy, was I wrong. So I take it in. The guy's like, yeah, it's going to take a few hours. We'll look at it. He's like, we'll get it back to you by today, though. I'm like, good. He's like, but yeah, you got a few hours to kill. So I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my time? So I decide I'll walk to the movie theater, which is like a half-hour walk from the tire place. I'm like, that's fine. That'll give me something to do. Walk there. It was a nice day. I'll walk to the movies. I'll go see a movie. And then I'll come back. I'll kill an hour in the mall or something. Then my car should be ready, right? So, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. I walk up to the fucking movie theater. I'm listening to some podcast on my phone. And then I buy a ticket to see It, the horror movie. I'd seen the original, of course, as a kid. I read the book when I was, like, in high school. I'm like, let's see the movie. I like Maine. I like Stephen King. This will be a good way to kill some time. But I wasn't fully present because I was, like, worried about what was going on with my car. So I sit down in the theater and all that shit. And then, like, right as the previews start, the guy calls me. And he's like, the place calls me. He's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, good. He's like, yeah, so your brakes are pretty messed up, man. Your calipers are, like, fused and boo-boo-boo-boo. Most importantly, it's going to cost about $965. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, $1,000 fucking dollars? No. I was like, I was like, I can't do that, man. I can't do that. I mean, I was like, that's way too much money. I might as well start making payments on a new car. And the guy, he's like, hold on a second. Let me talk to my mechanic for a second. Let me talk to the technician. Puts me on hold for like 30 seconds. I really don't think he talked to anyone. He puts me on hold for like 30 seconds, and he comes back and he's like, "Oh yeah. Talk to the technician. If he says if we don't do the hoses, we can get it down to $700." And then I'm like, I wanted to be like, why don't you go talk to him again, see if we can get that down to, I don't know, $400. But I was just like, okay, you know what? My car's fucked up. I rely on this thing big time to get around and go to shows, and it's very important to me. It's like my baby. I was like, let's do it. $700. I can work with that. Let's go. So he's like, okay. So he's like, I was like, when's it gonna be ready? He's like, same time before 6. Sometime before 6 tonight. I'm like, fuck, it's like 4 hours. So I go in, I get that call, and I go in, I start watching It, which was good and pretty scary, but let me tell you, nothing was scary after that phone call. That was as scary as things could get. I was like, fucking A, man. Luckily, I had the money to pay for it, but I was like, that's a huge hit. A huge unexpected hit. Man, I'm just a comedian. I'm not some fucking lawyer. Not full of break money. So I'm thinking about that. I immediately go on to like one of the apps on my phone and sell a bunch of stocks that I have in the stock market, because I'm like, well, guess I'm gonna be needing some of that savings right now to cushion this old blow. And I start doing some fucking accounting in my brain while I'm watching It. So I don't know if I'm a reliable critic or reviewer for the movie It, because I was having a horror movie in my own mind about auto mechanics. If you listen to this podcast, you know I hate mechanics, but I gotta say, these guys at Sullivan Tire and Braintree, they're pretty good and pretty nice, and they don't fuck you too hard. I mean, I knew something was wrong, and it was obvious, and I really shouldn't have even been driving at all at that point, guys. I don't know. But yeah, so that was fucking Thursday, okay? That was my Thursday. And then I still had a show to headline that night. So I'm like, at the House of Blues. So I'm like, done with this shit at 6 o'clock. I get my car back. And here's the worst part. I've been driving on bad brakes for so long, and driving it, I'm so in tune with that car, it's like a piece of me, all right? It's like my body. It's like an organ. I know everything. I can tell when something's wrong. I can tell when the littlest thing is wrong. I can feel it when I drive that car. And I will say, it didn't feel good. Last week, I went to Salem, and I was like, something feels a little weird with this car, but it's just a little something. And then, obviously, when the brakes started to grind, I'm like, that's obviously something wrong. But then I get the car back from the mechanic, and I don't know about you, but when I pull out of the mechanic, I like to think, like, holy shit, this thing feels like a brand new car. Or damn, this feels great, handles great, feels like new, or something like that. But I pulled out, and I'm thinking, and I know I saw the guy test drive it, he told me it's good, but to me it felt still weird. But I think it just feels weird because the brakes are sticky or something because they're new, or the alignment's a little different because it had all the 4 tires taken off. I don't know what it is, but it still feels a little odd to me at this time, and I'm like, what the fuck? Did I just spend all that money for nothing? It was not the relief I had craved. Not at that moment, at least. But I was like, can't focus on that now. I was like, it's just got to be the new brakes. Feel weird. So I drive to the House of Blues, park the bitch, and go in. And that was a great time. That was like nice. Just a return to form. Not a talk show with my biggest heroes. That's high pressure. Not a fucking award show where if I do a bad job, everyone's going to be mad at me. Not that kind of pressure. Just a fucking stand-up comedy show where I can do some fucking jokes that I wrote and have a grand old time. So that's what it was. Dan Hall, Logan, Bryden, fucking Emmett, the South Shore boys. Tyler Swain, they all put that show together, I think, and it was a real good time. And more on them later. So I was a little bit bummed because Dan was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna Venmo you that money." I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." But in my head, I'm like, "I need all the cash I can get right now, bro." we made it work. Venmo's fine. That's the thing. I'm not like broke from this, but to protect myself from spending too much money, I don't like to keep too much money in savings. In my checking account, or even really my savings account. I like to use the stock market as a savings account, and then have like an emergency savings account, and then a checking account. But the only downside of doing it that way is like when something unexpected happens and you clean out that checking account, it can take some time to get money out of the stock market or out of Venmo or PayPal or wherever you like to hide it from yourself so you don't spend it. Other people probably don't do that as much as I do, but I do because I'll just spend fucking money. If I see 10 grand or something in my savings, I'm like, let's fucking buy something. We should. So I like to spread it out. Also, I've never seen 10 grand in my fucking savings account, so don't even worry about that. Money Talk with Will Noonan. Terrible financial advice with Will Noonan. But anyway, it's been good, but it's been a little bit of a return to like the old days where I'm like counting how much I'm spending at convenience stores and fucking, I'm like, did I already buy an orange juice today? Can I afford a second orange juice? But luckily that's all over by now. But there was a couple days like that while the money was moving, while I was moving money from one place to another. So that was Thursday. It was a really good time as far as doing the show. Really bad time as far as getting my butthole fingered at the auto mechanic. And, yes, I could say this was unlucky, and I could say this unlucky shit happened because I broke a mirror. But I could also say that I was extremely lucky that it didn't happen, on the way to or from New York. It didn't break on the way to or from New York. The brake hose didn't tear off like before and spray my whole fucking undercarriage with acid and break a bunch of shit. I'm also lucky I'm not so broke I can't afford to fix my own car, which a lot of people are. So, you gotta look at yourself as lucky in some scenarios when you feel unlucky, because I definitely feel like this is one of those. I could be woe is me about it and be like, oh man, like fucking, why's my car gotta break? But the truth is that car has, performed valiantly for many years and been driven thousands of miles and driven me to a lot of shows and helped me make a lot of fucking money. And, I need food. I get sick. I need to heal. Just so does the car. And, I don't blame her for that. I don't blame my little TZ for that thing. So that was my Thursday. But I'm not done. 'Cause Friday, I knew I was co-hosting WAAF for 4 hours with Nick Stevens, filling in for Maddie Blake on the Maddie and Nick show. So like I said before, I was like, oh, great. Just a return to fucking stand-up comedy after all this crazy shit, like award shows and talk shows with Artie and Anthony and everything. It's like, hey, here's another thing that's kind of in your comfort zone, but kind of not in your comfort zone. But to be honest, I wasn't very nervous about this one because I've been on their show many times, and I know Nick, and I know Stiz, the producer, and I was like, this is just gonna be fun. Like, I'm not worried about this one. I was more like, hey, this is gonna be a good time. And actually, I was super honored to be asked to even do it. That was something I've always wanted. I saw that they had guest hosts before, and I was like, I wish they would ask me to guest host sometime, because I feel like I'm a good guest on there, and it's kind of, I'm a big radio fan going all the way back, and I still am, as you guys know. So I was like, that'd be cool to host a show even for one day on a rock station or any station really, and I got to do it. So that was cool. And thank you to Maddie and Nick for allowing me to do that, and Stiz and all that. And we had a good time on there. It was a little bit fucked up. Like, they just got a new format, or they got some new research in where they're playing more songs and not talking as much, which is, something that happens in radio. They sort of give you time to talk and take away time to talk. That's just like one of their moves. But they hadn't really figured out the right way to do it yet. So we were talking, most of our talking was like in these 2 to 3 minute chunks spread out over the course of an hour. And then by the end, we kind of figured out how to get 4 or 5, 7 minute ones. But they were like real, at the beginning, it was like, I could tell Nick was like really frustrated. Like he couldn't get himself going. I couldn't get myself going because like by the time we were in a bit, it was time to go to commercial or play a song. And as much as that kind of stinks, it was still kind of cool to watch. Like, you know, just how that works. You know, radio's a cool and kind of a weird old type of show business where it's like advertising and entertainment mixed together. It's like we got to play these songs, we got to read these ads, but also we got to do creative stuff at the same time. So it's like this mix, and you kind of work both muscles at the same time when you do it. So I had fun with it. I wish they would let them go back to talking more and just shooting the shit, having more of like a podcast style, because that's really what those guys are good at, and that's what I think people tune into that show for. And I never trusted market research anyway. The people who volunteered to be in market research are always losers. It's never anyone cool who's like, yeah, I love filling out forms about what I love, what I listen to and everything. And that night, I left there, 4 hours I was there, which is kind of a long time. It's funny, you know, 2 hours of Artie and Anthony goes by in the snap of a finger because you're just talking and there's no commercial breaks and there's no music. 4 hours of a radio show where you're just like, talk, 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 wait, 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 talk, 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 wait, 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 feels longer. But still very cool, and a notch on my personal kind of bucket list belt to be like, yeah, man, I hosted on AF, and maybe that's a career I could have someday. I would love to be a radio host if I could. It was fun doing the reads and reading the phone number and stuff. Stuff I'm sure everyone gets sick of really quick. I was still getting like a good little thrill out of that one. And it was another moment just like hanging with Artie and Anthony where I'm like, damn, man, like, I know I'm not a kid anymore, but I feel like a kid who's just getting to do all this cool shit that I've always wanted to do. And it's really like, not to be sentimental and corny, but it's just like really nice to be doing this stuff and to be living this life. And I do feel, I know I sound like fucking T.I. at the Grammys or something, but I feel really lucky and really just blessed, you know, to be able to have this life. So I am really happy. As crazy as this week was, and as stressful as it could be at times, and as sore as I was just from being a tense motherfucker and gripping the steering wheel and being afraid that my tire's gonna break. It's like, that's what this is. That's what this comedy life is. That's what's so beautiful about being a comedian. Like, sometimes it's like you feel awful and great at the exact same time. That's what comedy is. Sometimes you want to do something so bad that's terrifying to you, and you still do it. That's what's great about comedy. You meet heroes that you didn't even think life was long enough for you to meet. All kinds of cool shit, you know. So yeah, sometimes you get dicked around with the mechanic and typical life stuff that happens to everyone, but you gotta focus on the good stuff here and see that it's pretty damn interesting to be bip-bop booping around from radio shows in New York City to award shows to other radio shows, and really working every fucking comedy muscle you got in 1 week. So that was cool. So, but I'm not even fucking done yet, man. I ain't even done yet. Now I really sound like T.I. Then Thursday night, doing a show at Jed's Basement, which fucking love doing shows there. I was supposed to go to Jed's, and it was supposed to be the Rock Bottom show, which is normally like a sellout event. Jed's Basement is like a secret comedy show. Can't even tell you where it is, although you can figure it out on the internet if you look hard enough. Quote, hard enough. It's not even really that hard, but it's technically illegal because it's in a home. It's in a basement of a guy named Jed's house. But it's, I don't know, like, it's like those cool LA comedy shows you hear about in bookstores, only real, because it's not in a bookstore. It's in a guy's house. People in the crowd are smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, drinking. It's fucking cool. And the comedians there don't have the same, no one's the same there as they are in clubs. It's a way more personal It's definitely like a playhouse for comedians. It's just like it's a good time. I really love it over there. And as much as I love doing like high profile, sort of like, oh shit, look, Noonan's with Artie Lange, oh my god. Like, it's just as much, if not more fun to do a show like that, because it's like, it's just down dirty fucking comedy, man. So I was wicked excited to go to Jed's basement. Got there early and hanging out, and we're all just shooting the shit. Logan's up on stage talking into the microphone while the comedians sit in the crowd and kind of ask him stupid questions about himself and everything, and he answers them, and it's just fun. We're all breaking serious balls, which is so fun. And then no one really shows up, no crowd, it's just the comics. So I guess this has happened once or twice before at Jed's basement, and they're like, let's just do a hang night, which is when everyone goes up on stage as they would, but instead of telling jokes, people in the crowd, aka their friends, get to ask them like personal fucked up questions or things they've always wanted to know or things about comedy or people they like or don't like, and they have to answer honestly and they have to answer honestly and try and be funny. Basically, the unwritten kind of unspoken rule is like you also should try and be funny while you're up there. So, you know, even as a comic myself, I was like, I'd been doing it a lot longer than most of the guys in that room, and I was like, I think I've kind of done this sort of thing once or twice before, but this is like a new, I don't know if this is really new. Like, we've had nights where the guy's kind of getting his joke worked by his friends while he's on stage, but I don't know about this whole just like shitting on a guy thing. But I was like, but I like it, and I'm in. And I can't really say anything because we all swore each other to secrecy, but some hilarious shit was said. Guys were talking about people, girls they had slept with, girls they wanted to sleep with. There were a couple girls there. They were talking about guys they had slept with, guys who had like rumors about them. People were asking them if they were true. A lot of like hilarious ball busting, just brutality. And just like on Artie and Anthony, I was laughing so hard, my face hurt. And I was just smoking weed and smoking cigarettes. Smoked a cigarette on stage myself, and it was super duper pooper fun. And a few people did end up showing up, but they were like, what the fuck is this? And then they left. But yeah, hung out there, and that was a nice Friday night. I was there for like 3 or 4 hours. Got super stoned. Got in my car, which I was getting more and more confidence in. Drove it home. Then we are to Saturday, my last day of this week. See, this whole podcast was not even a full week, just 6 days, because yesterday was Sunday and I didn't do anything. So this is it. Just the 6 days. Not even 7. It took a whole hour to tell you guys about it. So Saturday. Motherfucking Saturday. All I have to do that night is go to Manchester, New Hampshire, and do a spot on the show at Headliners Comedy in Manchester. And I'm like, great. This is just me headlining a show, just a gig. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to doing 45 minutes in a comedy club. You know, it's been a couple weeks. Here we go. Only thing I got kind of on my mind is this is a 1 hour drive, hour and 10 minutes to drive. If my car still has something wrong, which I'm not really 100% convinced it doesn't, it's going to come to light on this drive, I think. So, you know, which is an anxious kind of way of thinking, but it's also not completely idiotic, because I'm like, I've had mechanics do that before. They're like, you're ready to go. Your car is fucking fixed. Have a nice life. And then like a week later, it's like, ka-ching, and then whatever they did just snaps. So I was like, that can happen. But it didn't. I drove up there, just like before, no radio, no podcast, no nothing. I'm just listening to the car, listening to everything. And I was an idiot, man. Like a fucking plane would go over my head, and I'd hear the plane, and I'd be like, that's my fucking car. That's my fucking car. Obviously a nervous Nelly when it comes to the motherfucking car. And to be honest, my plan was to record this podcast on the way back from that gig. But once I went up there, did the fucking gig, and felt good, and all that shit, I didn't want to. I just wanted to listen to something and finally relax, because I felt like I could finally breathe after 6 straight days of kind of like task-filled one thing after another kind of stuff. Even though a lot of it was really fun and stuff I wanted to do, it was just like bang, 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 bang all week. I didn't have much time to just like chill, which I've realized is an important thing in my life that I really need is chilling. Willin needs his chilling. That was stupid. But anywho. The show had its moments. There were some bad parts where I think the guy added like a guest spot to the show that was like the show ended up being too long. And you know, when you're closing the show, it sucks, like, because the crowd gets tired, and when they've seen more than like 90 minutes of comedy and you get on stage, you're gonna do another half hour. You're like, all right, I'll do. It's like your dessert when no one wants dessert. You just come out and go, I'm still stuffing you. I'm still stuffing this into your belly, motherfuckers. I don't care if you want dessert or not. You getting it. And you can just feel them. They want to laugh. They're smiling, but they're just tired. They're out of energy. They're not feeling it. So I was kind of like, meh about that. But like I said, happy the week was over. Get back in my car. At this point, I'm feeling really good about it. I'm like, hey, it made it an hour there. It must be okay. Still feels a little bit not normal to me, but it's getting there. And I think in a few more, it's going to take a couple more long trips, and I'll be like, all right, this car's good. I can rely on her again fully and unclench my fucking asshole. So yeah, that was my fucking week. And then yesterday I just had a very relaxing day. Went and visited my parents, smoked a shitload of weed, played a lot of soccer video games, and ate a bunch of crap. Actually, I ate a bunch of healthy food because I watched the Patriots game and read Tom Brady's new book at the same time. And I was like, I could be healthier. I could be more like Tom Brady, and I should. I absolutely fell for it. If that guy started religion, I'd probably join. So, yeah, man, that brings us to today, which is great. Just going to Capo about an hour after I'm done with this, and life is good. So that's my week, and that's why I was a week late. I know that makes no, it doesn't make any sense as to why I didn't pull one out last week, but I don't care. I put it out when I could put it out. But that's the last week I just had in my motherfucking life. And I did do a 2-hour radio show with Artie and Anthony and a 4-hour radio show on AAF with tons of clips on their website. So if you want to fucking, go back and see what I was doing last week, you can listen to that. And I recommend you listen to the Artie and Anthony Show with me and with everyone, because it's a good fucking time. So thank you guys for listening to the podcast this week. If you'd like to make a donation, help put some money back in the piggy bank after the car fucked me up, you can always do that at willnoonan.com. Click the donate button, or PayPal, or Venmo, or any fucking way you want to do it these days. Will Noonan Comedy on Venmo. Got the donate button at the thing. Also, you could just support me and the podcast by purchasing t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/Will Noonan. Albums on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, anywhere digital music is sold. And requesting Will Noonan on Sirius XM Radio. Those are all good ways to help support the show. And besides that, thank you so much for listening. I'll try and get one out again next Monday. And we'll get this Monday thing fucking going in good form and due process. And much more to talk about next week. Who knows? Maybe a big guest. Who fucking knows? But yeah, thank you for listening. If no one told you they love you today, that's me making sexy sounds with my mouth. I do. Peace out. Good morning. Test. That's more like it. Hello. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good afternoon. Bop. Get some water. Sip of water. For the working man. 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.